What is up, guys? Welcome back to Jersey Nick Moto. I figured today we talk about a little bit of motorcycle road tripping, since I got a little bit of the road trip blues, because it seems like that nasty C word that's going around in the world today, day by day, it's making that trip that Bobby and I had planned in June more and more unlikely. We had a pretty good trip planned. We were gonna head down, hit the Tallahassee Skyway, go into Moyers, Oklahoma to the K River Campground, go down through Texas, then cut back towards Louisiana and meet up with a lot of YouTube people along the way. But with the state of the world right now, it's starting to look unlikely that we're going to be able to do that in mid-June. But I do have a plan B in the back of my mind if I'm able to do it. I'm not going to talk about that yet, don't want to jinx it. But since I'm kind of down in the dumps about my road trip, I figured we'd reminisce about road trips past, and I'd like everybody to feel free to let me know in the comments below some of the favorite motorcycle road trips you've taken, some of the best roads that you've ridden. You know, you do interstates, you do back roads, things like that, and maybe talk about some road trips you got planned for the future from when this is all behind us. So I'm just going to babble on in no particular order about some of my trips. You guys know I could talk about this stuff all day. Been to all the lower 48 states by motorcycle, and I truly have a passion for motorcycle travel. And some of it I talked about already, but I gotta say my favorite trip of all time was going from New Jersey to California. Especially when we got to the Southwest, man. I loved riding through New Mexico and Arizona and going from the deserts, and you know, Tombstone, Arizona was really cool. And then traveling through the deserts into the canyons, into the mountains of California, into San Diego, Ocean Beach, staying at the Ocean Beach Hotel for a few days, being right on the Pacific Ocean. Man, it's East Coast and West Coast, two totally different worlds. That was my first time out to the West Coast. And that, crossing the country, a true cross-the-country trip, ocean to ocean, that's something I'll never forget. It'll probably always be my favorite road trip. And then there's like, why we stopped at a green light, buddy? And then there's spots that we always love to hit. Nashville, Tennessee. Overall, my favorite city in the United States. Love hanging out at Layla's on Broadway, listening to Heath Haynes. Done that several times. We were going to do that again this year. But I definitely wouldn't want to be in a crowded bar this year with this stuff going on. Part of the country that I like the least to travel to is the Northeast up in New England. And not that it's not nice up there, I think it's just because I live in the Northeast in New Jersey, and I'm kind of used to this area, this part of the country. So it's probably my least favorite part to travel to. But with that said, me and my buddy Dan, we might do a weekend trip up there, because I know he wants to knock out those states. So hopefully sometime this year we could do that. We were also planning on going into Canada, but obviously with this stuff going on, that's probably going to be on hold for a while. And also, this was the year to start exploring some back roads too, but because for the last couple years, you know, trying to hit all the states, we were just flying through interstates and stuff. But we were going to try and do some back roads this year. And I'll tell you, out of every place I've been in the country, there's one area that I don't mind the interstates at all, and that's going through the Midwest. I know a lot of people say that riding through the plains is boring, but I actually like it. You know, being from New Jersey, I don't get to see open land like that a lot. So I actually like riding Route 80, going across Iowa. Iowa's such a pretty state. And even Nebraska, I know there's a lot of nothing, but man, I love to see that. I don't get a chance to see that a lot. And then even like riding through Wyoming, you get into western Wyoming on Route 80, and man, the scenery is beautiful. Northeastern Nevada, that was fun. just seeing all that empty land, you know, people like me on the East Coast don't get to see that much. We're all so squeezed in and there's so many people around. It's nice to see that there's still parts of the country where you can have all that open space. Riding back roads up through into Idaho from Nevada, that was a great experience. That was some beautiful roads up there. And then I remember on that trip, then we head up into Washington State and Oregon. I had the best hamburger I ever had in my life up in Washington State at this little truck stop that we got into about 20 minutes before it was going to close. But the guy stayed open for us and cooked us up some great burgers. It's like memories like that, like little stupid stuff that stick in your head and that just become like great stories over the years. I love traveling down south too. I mean, Tennessee's a pretty state. I've been through the Carolinas. I've ridden the Tail of the Dragon. Tail of the Dragon, I mean, it was nice, it was cool. I think it's something that you do just to say you did it. But some of the roads I was on getting to Deals Gap in the Tail of the Dragon were just as beautiful and just as curvy. I did it once. I did it on my Dyna many years ago. I don't know if I'd want to do it again, but I think it would be cool to do it with Lola, my road glide, just to get a picture of me and her on the Dragon, and, you know, maybe get another sticker, a Dragon sticker to slap on her to say we did it together. So who knows, maybe I'll do it again one day. That's a beautiful area over there. Blue Ridge Parkway is absolutely beautiful. I've ridden about half of that. Skyline Drive, that was my first road trip going through Virginia. I've done that a couple times since then. I would always like to do that again. I like that area of the country. Virginia, Carolinas, Tennessee. I think that's beautiful country. I'd actually like to live there one day, somewhere down in that area. And that's another thing too with traveling. I mean, you get to see how people live in all different parts of the country. You kind of get to drop into their lives for a little while and see what their life is like living down there. And you know, it gives you some good info in case you ever want to relocate, what parts of the country you like, what parts of the country you don't like, the weather, stuff like that. So that's another thing I love about traveling. Another beautiful state that I loved riding through was South Dakota. And then, like I said many times, you could keep Sturgis. That's really not my scene. I don't like crowds. I'm not into the rallies. I'm not into getting drunk and then trying to ride my bike back to the hotel or wherever I'm staying. But South Dakota, as long as it's not in August, is a beautiful, beautiful state, man. You gotta ride. You gotta go see Mount Rushmore. It's amazing. Needles Highway, Custer State Park. Look out for the bison. Iron Mountain Road. There's a section of Iron Mountain Road where you go through one of those little tunnels and Mount Rushmore is staring at you through the other end of the tunnel like in a picture frame. Definitely got to ride the Black Hills. I'd like to go back to South Dakota one day and ride through there again. Colorado, I'm sure that's another beautiful state. I just went through there on the interstate. I know there's a lot of great roads to ride in Colorado. I will say one thing I do remember was that I wasn't too crazy for the interstates. The traffic was kind of nuts, at least when we were there in June a few years ago. But you do see the snow-capped Rockies in the distance, and I'm sure if you go deep into Colorado, there's a lot of beautiful things to explore. Maybe I'll do that one day when I'm not just passing through. Another thing that sticks with you are the people that you meet along the way. I mean, some people, you know, you just talk to at rest stops, you never see them again. Some people we've actually hung out with and they became Facebook friends, and they always tell you if we're passing through again to come hang out. I mean, I remember when we were going through South Dakota, I think we were on Interstate 90, and we were hitting real bad winds. Couldn't even keep the bikes upright as we were going down the highway. And we stopped at one of the rest areas to wait for it to die down. And we ran into this couple that were traveling in an RV. And they came over and talked to us, and they said they saw us struggling on the highway, and they were even having a hard time keeping their RV on the road, and they told us to be safe. And I think it was the next day we stayed in Keystone, South Dakota, and we're walking down the street in Keystone, and all of a sudden these two people from across the street start waving at us. And it was that couple that we met up with at the rest stop a few days ago, and they ran over to us and they said that they were so excited to see that we made it through the wind safe, and we hung out and talked for a little bit, and it's just like stuff like that. It's really cool. I actually think they were surprised that we were still alive, but it was just really cool that, you know, people come up to you and talk and they're interested in where you're going and stuff like that. Then once when we were traveling, I believe we were coming back from California, we were going through Arkansas, and we just stopped to stay at this little Days Inn, and we saw at the Days Inn they had a bar. It was like right in the middle of the hotel. It was weird, it had no windows, nothing. Nice, cool little dive. It was called Frog's Bar. We hung out with some of the coolest people down there. This guy Kevin, I'm Facebook friends with him until today. He was really, really cool. We had a great time that night, just comparing stories, like the difference of living in Arkansas, living in New Jersey, two different worlds, and we just had such a great time. Another bar on the road we had a great time in was Kung Fu Tap and Taco in Iowa. Really cool biker bar. I think it's safe to say anytime we pass through Iowa from now on, we'll be stopping in there. I remember one time we were staying in this hotel in Nebraska off the highway, middle of nowhere, and it was like a Holiday Inn. There was some kind of little warehouse factory building across the road, and then also across the highway was like a gas station with a little mini mart that sold beer and stuff. I think there was a restaurant in there too. So Bobby and I, we walked over to the restaurant, got something to eat, stopped in a gas station, got a six-pack, went back to the hotel, and we're sitting, they had tables outside the hotel. We're sitting at these tables with our six-pack, and there's this guy that walked up to us, and he's a young dude, like in his 20s, right? And he's got on like a bathing suit, a t-shirt, he's barefoot, and we kind of thought he was homeless. So he walks up to us and he asks us something about a cell phone charger or something. We're like, nah man, we don't have a cell phone charger. Then he kind of walks away, we're just sitting there bullshitting, and he's kind of like, he's watching us. Then he walks over again and says something else, and we kind of like brush him off. And like, you know, he was harmless, he wasn't bothering us or anything, but then he walks over the third time and he says something like, he's like, you know, I'm not fucking homeless. And we were like, you sure about that? Because you look it. And we kind of all started laughing, and he's telling us a story about, he was from Wyoming, he was staying in a hotel, he was with his work crew, they were doing some kind of construction and whatnot, and his co-workers, I think they got tired of him being drunk, and they kind of took off and went to dinner and left him without his room keys. So he was kind of stranded with just, he said he just had his phone and his ATM card. So we started talking for a little bit, and he was like, dude, he's like, can I at least drink with you guys for a while? And we were like, well, sure, you got your ATM card, as long as you bring us some more beer. So he walked over to the convenience store, barefoot, came back with another six-pack or whatever, and we all hung out, sat at the tables outside the hotel. And we just sat there late into the night and told stories and listened to country music, and it was great. You know, like something like that, where at first you're like, who the hell is this weirdo bothering us? It turned out to be a really cool dude that we hung out with that night. It's just great. Like, that's what traveling's all about to me, man. Stuff like that that's not planned. Stuff like that where me telling you the story might not really mean much, but, you know, it's a memory that Bobby and I will always have. We spent many late nights sitting outside of hotels just bullshitting. I remember when we made it to South Dakota, that was one of the trips everybody told us, oh, it's, you know, it was our first big trip, and they said, oh, you guys are never going to make it. And we only had a week to do it, and we said we were going to make it there in 3 days, and they said we were absolutely crazy. And we made it there in 3 days. I remember we sat outside that hotel that night and just hung out and talked and looked at the big South Dakota sky and the dirt roads around us, and saw these two hippies hitchhiking off the highway, and we watched them for a while and just chilled out, man. And it's stuff like that, man. Again, it's the stuff that's not planned. That's the stuff I always look forward to. When we went into Texas a few years ago, meeting my buddy Hudat, that we used to talk on Instagram all the time. I hit him up and said, look, we're going to be in the Dallas area. You want to just meet us at the Harley dealer? And him and his wife met us at Longhorn Harley, and we just had a nice time talking. And he's also done the 48 states by motorcycle on a couple different Harleys, and just talking about traveling, you know, meeting like-minded people. A couple weeks later, he and his wife were traveling on their bikes through New Jersey, and they stopped at my house, and you know, that's a friendship I'll always have. And then there are a ton of other stories that I could tell you that I can't remember right now. I'll save some of them for another video, but just great times going through Florida, hanging out with Bobby's sister and my cousin Jill, and out running the rain that whole trip. We've had a lot of fun over the years. And one of the main things I'm kind of bummed about this year, if the big trip doesn't happen, which I said it's looking more unlikely every day, is I had a whole list of people that we were going to meet up with and hang out with, a whole list of YouTube people. You know, we were going to try and meet up with Glide Arkansas, TJ from Talamena Outfitters. We were going to see my buddy Hudat again, try and meet up with Dirty D's down in San Antonio, and I was really looking forward to trying to hook up with Anonymous Biker USA and Saddle Tramp on the way home. But if it doesn't happen, guys, don't worry, there's always next year. And like I said, I do have a plan B. If I can, I might be doing a little solo traveling just for a few days. But I'll talk more about that if and when it happens. I might try and head south for a few days of R&R, rest, relaxation, and riding. Maybe live the country life a little bit. Maybe if I'm lucky, I could be a rolling stone for a few days. I'll keep you updated. Alright guys, don't forget, comment below, let me know about your road trip stories. Thanks for watching my videos. Everybody stay safe, stay positive. This too shall pass. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. There'll be more videos to come. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Keep your head on a swivel out there. Later. I don't even know where I am. I'm just riding down 35. Sooner or later I gotta turn around and rip back home. Sit home and relax. What else is there to do?